Well, a very big hello to you wherever you might be listening to this podcast and this Coaching Cafe webinar, whether you're listening to it live with us here or you're listening to it on your favorite streaming service. My name is Natalie Ashdown from the Open Door Coaching Group, and welcome to our Coaching Cafe. I'm delighted to be joined again on the line by Paula Jones-Hunt, our resident HR specialist. Hello, Paula.
Hi, everyone.
And it's great to see you too. Bridge has just joined us as well. So Bridget, our Learning and Development Manager, has just joined us. Hi to you as well, Bridge. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I've just finished coaching, so I've just jumped off and jumped on.
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, sit back and you can enjoy and jump in as you feel like as well, since you've just come off a coaching session. So before we begin, we'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the lands and custodians on the lands on which we're meeting today, all around Australia, as we've been finding out, and internationally, and their continuing connection to the land, the waters and communities of Australia and international land, waters and communities. We pay our respects to elders, past, present and emerging, from whatever Indigenous culture you are from. Now, our agenda for today is to look at the highlights for the ICF Global Coaching Study 2023. You are up to date if you are listening to it because it was only released this week. We have downloaded the 91-page report. I have read the report, including the technical appendix. And today I'm going to share with you the major outcomes of the Global Coaching Study. So you'll be up to date, and perhaps we can also have a talk as you are thinking about the presentation about what it means actually for our industry moving forward. So that's our agenda for today. As you know, if you are a regular to the Coaching Cafe, we are all about creating a coaching community. We're about creating shared learning experiences, having thought-provoking conversations. You can join in by putting a message into the chat box, which we will pick up. If you are new to the Coaching Cafe, welcome. We come together every Friday to record these Coaching Cafes live, and then we have hundreds of people download on our podcast, which is really exciting as well. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, whatever you're doing, I hope you enjoy the update from a global coaching perspective. If you are here because you are also collecting your ICF CCEs, your continuing coaching education units, I'll have that available for you at the end of the session. So you just stay on the line and we'll have that available for you. So yeah, please feel free. I can see a lot of new people obviously interested in what the Global Coaching Study has got to say. That saves you having to actually read it, which is a good thing. So please feel free to interact as much as you like as well. And you can do that via the chat box. So let's jump into it. Just to give you a bit of a background to the survey was actually completed between 26th of October and the 2nd of December. That's a mistake in the slides. It was 2022. So it's the survey was completed in 2022, October 2022, last year to December. They received 14,591 responses to the survey, which is absolutely amazing, across 153 countries. So it really is a global coaching report and study. It was commissioned by the ICF International to do the report. The ICF didn't do the report. They commissioned a third party to do it. And this is the 5th time that the global study has actually been conducted. So it's really fantastic now. We're starting to see the data over a longer period of time to see the differences in our industry and the growth in our industry as well. They received 90% of responses from coach practitioners, and 10% of the responses were for people who identify as managers or leaders using coaching skills. The survey, if you go into all the detail, focuses on the coach practitioners. So they've pulled out that 10%, and all of the information that is in the actual survey, all the statistics and the data you see is based on coach practitioners. And they define what they mean by coach practitioner as well. So what you're hearing or seeing as part of our slide deck, I've pulled out the highlights. Their coach practitioners, the 10% has been pulled out. We are Australia and New Zealand. We come under the banner of Oceania, and the the detailed report actually pulls out the statistics for Oceania as well. So I've been doing that a little bit as well. And there was 483 responses from our region, and that was 3% of all the responses. You can download the executive summary actually off the coachingfederation.org website. Just put in Global Coaching Study and you can pull the executive summary as well. So that's just a bit of a background to the study. For those of you that know Open Door Coaching, we have been following this study since it was first actually introduced. And I will tell you a couple of the things that I noticed that's different particularly from the 2019 study and the previous studies as well. So there you go, it's a bit of background. The study is broken into different parts: the exec summary, the introduction. They talk about the size and the scope of our profession. They talk about business indicators, what the demographics of coach practitioners and clients are. And then, of course, it's a technical appendix, which you can knock yourself out if you want to read that as well. I had to really concentrate to read the technical appendix, but it's there if you're interested in how did they calculate the income, how did they calculate the size of the industry, etc. It's all laid out there for you as well. So here we go. I just wanted to start hitting some of the highlights, and Bridget and Paula, I just invite you to comment on what you're noticing as we go along. And let's talk about the size of the profession, the size and the scope of the profession. So the coaching study actually estimates that the number of coach practitioners has grown now to 109,000 people globally. And that is the first time that it's actually hit over 100,000 based on their estimates. So they've got in the technical appendix how they actually estimate the number of coach practitioners, and remembering their people, the coach practitioners, we've separated out all the managers that might be coaching in their actual organization. And that is a 54% increase on 2019. It's huge. Yeah, that's probably the first biggest statistic I want to share with you, that our industry from 2019 has grown by 54% and our region is up 42%. Now, they don't really give information or reasons why that's the case. We could perhaps start to theorize why that might be the case, but that's a massive increase for our industry. So growth is there. I heard you say Wildbridge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, look, I can theorize too about that. Certainly, having gone through a pandemic and people, I guess taking the time to reflect on what's most important to them, and in the spirit of what we do, certainly coaching I would imagine would come up as being something that's a value for people to really, I guess, live by what they value and what they love, and take it out there and support others in doing the same. So that's what I particularly think.
Yep, I was happy to throw it out to both of you because that's actually my gut feeling on this as well. Like I said, it's not really covered in the survey what the growth is accounted for, but I would agree with you. And please feel free if you're on the chat to jump in and think, to offer reasons why you think as well. Yeah,
it is an opportunity, isn't it, to really reflect on what's most important, and of course, what we do as a profession allows us to do that, not only for ourselves but certainly to support others in doing the same.
Yeah. So in terms of revenue, this might blow you away as well. The total revenue globally, from revenue income generated globally from coaching, $4.5 billion US, and that is also an increase of 60% on 2019. So I remembered that this is $1 billion industry that we're part of, but I had completely forgotten that it was that kind of size, and a massive increase. Now, of course, the increase in revenue generated by coach practitioners is associated with the increased volume of coach practitioners as well. So there's a positive relationship there, but that's a pretty massive. So we're not playing, in that small industry that we might have been in 20 years ago. And in Australia, in our marketplace, in our region is worth $195 million US, which is a 41% increase from 2019. So there's all the estimates there. So yeah, we are playing in a significant marketplace from that point of view. It just makes me laugh about, the early days of coaching. Is it going to work? Is coaching a thing? Well, look at where we are today, and we're playing in a $195 million US dollar marketplace, and with significant growth. So quite exciting, I think.
Absolutely, yeah, very much so. It's again, permeating, whether it's about communication and connection and conflict resolution and, values-based decisions and all sorts of things that are really important in workplaces, how that's, and I guess, recognition of how it permeates, throughout organisations.
Absolutely. So when we look at the size and scope of the profession, you can feel free to have a look at those numbers. The big indicator globally that you might be interested in is the big growth is happening in Asia. So there's a 97% change in the total revenue happening in Asia. And also the other big growth area is Latin America and the Caribbean area as well. So huge growth, 74% there as well. So we're thinking about our region being Oceania, was a 41% change between 2019 and 2022. But Asia, if you happen to be doing work there, 97% increase. So massive opportunities in our neighbouring regions as well. I just want to move on and talk about a few of the business indicators. So a bit of a summary here as well. And please feel free, if you're got the chat box there, to tell us what your thoughts are and what your reactions are to some of these numbers as well. There's a couple of major business indicators. One thing is that coaching experience is positively linked to the drivers of revenue. So it is interesting, the more experience you have in coaching, the more likely you are to earn higher fees, have a higher number of clients, and do more hours of work in coaching. So there's some really good charts actually in the report that shows that. Business coaching, if you're doing business coaching, you are likely to earn above average income and higher fees. Now, here's the thing. You do need to know the definition of business coaching, and I've put it here for you. So the definition of business coaching in the report is leadership coaching, executive coaching, business and organizational coaching, and small business coaching. So if you are doing, it's a very big very big bucket there. If you're doing leadership coaching, executive coaching, if you're coaching within businesses or organizations, or you might be doing small business coaching, then you're likely to be earning above average income and be able to command higher fees. So there's some really interesting data that that's now coming out of the global report in terms of coaching experience, number of years in the industry, what people are actually doing as well, which is quite interesting. There's also some good information in the report also around the position held by clients. And it will come as no surprise to you, the people who are listening, that the higher the person is within the organization in terms of the client, the higher the client is within the organization. At the executive level, for example, the higher the fees that are charged. So what I like is about the report is we know this happens in our industry, and the report's actually laying it down there in front of us. So the higher the client within the organization, the higher the level of the fees being charged. And the other interesting thing is that we will know this as well, this will come as no surprise, but revenue is positively linked to sponsorship. So what that means is if your clients are sponsored by their organization, if their organization is paying for them to have coaching, then you're more likely to charge higher fees. So the reason I pull these things out is because we kind of know this from an industry point of view. It's not like under the carpet, quiet sort of stuff. And the global report actually then lays it all out in terms of the average incomes, the average coaching hours, the average rate per hour, and all of those kind of things. So it's really out there to see now, which is really great. And it has been for a number of years, but it's really nicely laid out in the report. So let me just pause for a moment, see if there's any thoughts or questions or comments coming through.
Natalie, I just had a question about above average income. Is that the above average income for any industry in Australia, or above average income for coaches?
Oh, for coaches. Yeah, sorry. Good point. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, if you're doing leadership coaching, executive coaching, organizational coaching, or small business coaching, you are probably earning more income than other forms of coaching. Yeah. Thank you. So in terms of demographics, coaching, in terms of the demographics of coaches, coach practitioners in the global marketplace, 48% of coaches are Generation X, except for in our region where you are more likely to be a baby boomer. So the baby boomers in our region actually outnumber Generation X. So yeah, so we've got our more senior executives doing coaching. So yeah, you're more likely to be X generation coach. You're more likely, 72% of coach practitioners are female. This is the global results I'm reporting. The majority of coaches globally hold degree level qualifications. So 30% hold bachelor's and 65% actually hold advanced degrees. And we see this quite a lot in our alumni too. We have people that come from across all different industries, across all different qualifications. Even though they may have advanced degrees in whatever qualification they hold, they are actually coming back and doing their certificate 4 and their diploma in workplace and business coaching as well. Yeah, Mara says she's surprised by the female statistic. Yes, yeah, that's 72% of the global marketplace. I was surprised by that as well. I thought it would be a bit more of a balance, actually. Yeah. 86% of coaches said that they hold a certification and a credential. Now, the big thing is this is actually a huge increase. So we've, as we said, have been following this report since the early days. So if you go back to say 2015, the number of coaches holding credentials is only 69%. So that's a big increase. It really does show that certification and credentials are important. And the other thing is that has increased is that 80% of coaches are saying that their clients expect coaches to be certified. So 80% of coaches are saying that their clients expect them to be certified or credentialed as well. And that's also an increase. So it starts to show you what's happening globally in the marketplace, that coaches are saying their clients are expecting to be certified. We've always known this, but we're seeing the increase in the statistics here as well. I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you. We'll draw some conclusions as well. The other really good news actually is that there's a very optimistic feeling out there in the marketplace, a global marketplace. There's coaches in the global marketplace are quite optimistic about the business outlook for the next few years. In fact, the statistics are saying in the report that 73% of coaches are expecting increased revenue over the next period. So that's good to hear that perhaps people have been through difficulties and challenges with the global pandemic. With this survey done at the end of 2022, most countries coming back to so-called the new normal, they're now a lot more optimistic about the business outlook. So that's really nice to see as well. Sorry. Pop back. When it comes to coaching services, what people are actually delivering from a global perspective, 34% of services are in leadership. Executive coaching accounts for about 17% of services. Business and organizational coaching accounts for about 13% of services, and small business coaching about 3%. What's really great is that back in 2019, I think it was really the first time that we saw the split out of managers and leaders as coaches. What is absolutely fantastic that we're seeing now, because of that split out of the data, they're actually being able to get more information on the work of internal and external coaches. So 16% of coaches work as both internal and external coaches. And the interesting thing now, which you'll see a lot in workplaces, is, well, what's the split of the duties? And a lot of our clients would say they're about a 50% split. 50% of my job and 50% of my time is spent coaching, and that's actually backed up by the global study. So about 16% of coaches work as internal and external coaches, and it's about half of their duties, which is really interesting. This is one area that I'll be looking to track over the next few years to see where those statistics actually change. It's a really great indicator in terms of coaching within our organisation. It's quite exciting, I think. And it's good to know actually that 93% of coach practitioners, they do offer other services. So we've often talked about portfolio approaches to the work we do. Facilitation, training, and consulting are part of those other services. So 93% of coaches are not just doing only coaching, they're doing other services as well. Let's get some reactions as well. I can see the chat coming here as well. So Amara's jumped in and said the expectation of credentialing might go to the market being unregulated and wanting to be sure that they have someone with a skill set rather than just someone calling themselves a coach. Yes, that's right. And of course, for those of you that have been around for a long time like we have, that was definitely the case. Just call yourself a coach, as opposed to that real expectation now around credentialing, around qualifications, and around membership as well. Yeah. Go on, Bridge, were you thinking of jumping in there?
Oh, yeah, no, I was just going to say, yeah, I agree, of course. The more we evolve as an industry, and the more known, coaching is, what coaching is versus what it's not, and the more that there is education around what coaching is, again, goes hand in hand with what we were saying before about it permeating throughout organisations and in industries, that this is an expectation, of course, that, someone calling themselves a coach is accountable for their skill set.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
there is one. Oh, I beg your pardon. Go ahead, Paula. Sorry.
So I was just going to, on that previous slide, I think too the organisations will be looking at more the role of a coach. So the 16% work is internal. I think that will grow as organisations are adopting the coaching methodology and also looking at it from an organisational coaching culture, is to have your own internal coaches who can work with other coaches and across the organisation. Is that the title I'm a workplace internal coach will grow, so that I expect that 16% to get bigger as organisations embrace that idea of the coaching culture.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with you. It's a very exciting statistic for us to be watching. I know there's a lot of people on the line who are coaching within their organisations and are making a massive difference in terms of building that culture of coaching within our organisations. So we'll be watching that very keenly. Yeah, for sure. So one statistic that really had me scratching my head, honestly, buried down on page 38 and page 41 of the report, is this one. That when it comes to coach practitioners, female coaches are earning 20% less than their male counterparts. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm just gobsmacked, actually, that there is a gender pay gap within our coaching industry. I honestly have to say I'm really surprised. This little line, this little piece was buried down on page 41, that female practitioners reported an average annual income, revenue from coaching. Sorry, my slides are jumping around. That they're earning one fifth lower than the average for male coaches. And interestingly, I didn't notice that in the 2019 survey, but apparently it's unchanged. So there's a gap here, which I suppose is reflected across all industries where there's gender pay gaps. But I really was surprised to see this. And Mara says, men tend to back themselves more. That is highly likely. The report doesn't go into the reasons why this is the case. They suggest that there's a range of factors that might be influencing this gap. And a fuller explanation is beyond the scope of the study. But I just thought to myself, well, if you're one of those 72% of females in the industry, since females make up, according to the study, 72%, then I think we just everyone give themselves a 20% pay rise straight up. You can do it. So, Paula and Bridget, people on the line, your reaction to that? I was actually really shocked.
Yeah, I guess it's consistent with industries all over the place, isn't it? It seems to be. And yeah, I'm pondering on that for a moment. Other than it just seems to be a common thing. I don't know. What do you think, Paula?
Yes, I probably wasn't surprised by it, but I think there's lots of reasons in there, particularly things around what clients people work with. So there's lots of industries we have that have high proportion of women in them that are the lower paid. So if you think around teaching, nursing, healthcare, those sorts of areas, there's lots of industries that are female dominant. And then if you've got females coaching in those spaces, they would be charging based on what clients can pay. So I think there's probably some of that in there. And I think it's also, I think it's one of those things where I think someone said before that males back themselves a little bit more. It's a little bit too that if you look at how women apply for jobs, for example, a woman will look at a job ad, and if she can do 90% of the ad, they will apply for it. A male will look at a job ad, and if they can do about 50%, they'll put their hand up and have a crack. And I think it's sort of when you're bidding for work, I think that comes into it as well.
Yes, there's lots of factors, and I hear what you're saying there, Paula. And Sweta has offered also around the women needing to get better at negotiating. A lot of research actually suggesting that as well. So, okay, so this is something we can definitely watch out for, and have a think about as an industry what we're doing here. And there's a couple of people on the line who just said my prices just went up. Yeah, that was my initial response. I'm like, all right, well, if you're a ex-gen ex-gen female coaching executives, you can put your rate up by 20% straight up. So there we go. We all just made the global revenue just went up. Yeah. So very interesting to watch. Actually, we're going to be very fortunate in the next couple of weeks actually to hear from an expert in coaching and an expert on the gender pay gap. So you can watch out for that coming up as well. In terms of clients, 31% of clients are managers within their organization. About 25% are executives. 57% of people are sponsored by their organizations, and 58% of the clients are females. So we've got a lot of female representation in the client base as well. Another reason why we need to address that is gender pay gap. You are more likely to be a client if you are aged 35 to 44 years old, 37% of the market, and 32% of the market are actually in that 45 to 54-year-old age group as well. So a bit of information on the clients. In terms of looking towards our future, as we've been talking about the growth in the marketplace, we would expect it to continue based on what's happened so far. Definitely a continued growth in credentials and certifications. We're expecting to see that as well as the appreciation expands. I think there's a massive opportunity, which is going to be a whole different Coaching Cafe to address that gender pay gap within our global industry. And finally, looking to the future, as I mentioned, there's quite an optimistic outlook, which is really good to see come out of the survey as well. A survey of 14,000 coaches globally to say that there's a positive outlook for our industry is really warming, really great to see. Of course, not to say that people aren't struggling with interest rate rises, with the cost of living rises, with threats of recession, etc. And despite those worries and concerns, that optimistic outlook. So that is the summary on the highlights of the ICF Global Coaching Study for 2023. Just wondering if there's any other further comments you want to add, or anyone else wants to jump in before we close off.
I think there's a really great opportunity to hit our younger generations and get them introduced to coaching earlier, and really start developing that. The younger generation coming through, understanding what it is and really embracing it.
And I think, go on, Nat.
Oh, I was just going to say, yes, there's some good statistics coming out in that regards as well. You're more likely to be an ex-gen if you're coaching, but there's some really good information coming out around the younger generations as well. Yeah, go on, Bridge. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was just going to add to what you just said in terms of, I think, in terms of Y and Z generations, they are open to, I guess they respond, they take on that coaching approach more readily, don't they? So yeah, it's certainly the right space for it.
Oh, absolutely. I think ex-gens had to learn it, and baby boomers had to learn it or relearn it, whereas our other generations, it's the way they do business. It's the way that it's what they've grown up with. So that's a really exciting thing to see as well. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Just letting you know, we do have a certificate for workplace and business coaching coming up. We've got an in-house program. We've just announced new dates for a face-to-face program, which is very exciting to be back live in the classroom. We are doing, of course, Zoom courses still, which have been very popular, but the in-classroom in Melbourne has been great. We do have the Diploma of Organisational Coaching coming up and our Advanced Coaching Certificate. So if you're thinking about how you might like to spend your professional development money over the next coming months, and you're really thinking about how you can grow your professional development, then the Advanced Coaching Certificate is definitely something that you can take a look at. So we wanted to keep it short and sharp, give you the highlights of the report, so you didn't actually have to read the 91-page report. But of course, if you go to coachfederation.org, you can pick up the entire report. And great news, exciting news. Open Door is celebrating its 20th birthday this month. Actually, our 20th birthday in the coaching industry of doing what we love as part of coaching. So over the next coming weeks, we will be having a series of coaching cafes that actually celebrate as part of our 20th birthday. So we hope that you can, I know, it's great. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, so we hope that you can join us for those birthday celebrations, bringing back some of the legends of coaching to talk to us as well. So there you go. As we always say, enjoy your coaching. Thank you for joining us wherever you are joining us around the globe. Thank you for the work you do. It's great to see the work that you do acknowledged within such an important study as well. And as we always say, enjoy your coaching.